What's happening, guys? We're back. I think we're gonna do some paneling today. All right, we are back. I know, long break between episodes lately. It's summer, there's lots of stuff going on, but we got some time to work in the shop. So what I did is, I don't know if you guys are gonna see it, I put the springs on all the shocks. So our car is now sitting on its actual suspension. So it actually has suspension, so that's pretty cool. We do have a couple issues. The biggest one is our springs are too long. So, grab you guys here. So we bought the QA1 kit off of Speedway, and it came with these springs, and they are 14-inch long springs. So they're quite long. Obviously we've been fighting with it for the last 2 episodes, trying to get the car low enough so that that our shocks don't bottom out. Shocks don't bottom out anymore, but now the springs are too long to allow the car to sit at ride height. So if you remember way back when we had the car on the build table, we had these little blocks for our ride height. So this is supposed to be what our frame sits at. And the car can't get down there, even though all 4 of our shocks, our springs, are right at the top of the adjusters. So we're gonna have to buy shorter springs. Not a big deal. You can buy 10-inch, you can buy 12-inch, you can buy whatever length you want from QA1, and they're actually reasonably affordable. I think they're about $100 a spring. So I gotta put in a Speedway order. I was a little bit concerned about the spring rate, about having to go up in spring rate, because, here, I'll show you. So this is with the 300s in the front, and you can see she's pretty bouncy. So I was a little bit concerned about the level of bounce and the level of travel. But then I remembered that the QA1 shocks have this little knob here that adjusts the damping. So at 0 damping, you get that much bounce, but if we go up, they're a little tight. We'll go up to 3. We'll go up to 3 clicks on the adjusters. I think they go up to 12, which is aggressive. But so now that's 3 clicks. And way less bounce, obviously. So I think we got the right spring rate. I think we just might have to play around a little bit with the damping rates. So that's good. That means we don't have to futz around too much with spring rates. We can keep the 150s in the rear and the 300s in the front. So that's done. That's our suspension basically done. All I gotta do is buy a couple springs. The next step is getting it running correctly. I think what we're gonna do is, we've talked a little bit about running a standalone ECU. I think we're gonna go ahead with that here this summer. They're not cheap, so it's gonna be a bit of an endeavor. We talked about doing the fuel tech. I know, Philippe, you were really interested in seeing the Fuel Tech 550 on the car. I don't think we're gonna go with Fuel Tech, just because Fuel Tech is a Brazilian company, so there's lots of support down there. I live in Canada. There's not a lot of guys up here running the Fuel Tech unit. So my tuner has no experience with the Fuel Tech. Also, the Fuel Tech is really cool because it has the integrated dashboard, but that dashboard comes with some limitations in kind of how you can set it up. It's a little more locked down than what I would like. So we're not gonna go with Fuel Tech. I think what we're gonna go with is the Max ECU. The Max Race is what my tuner wants to run, because it has onboard knock control. It can do everything we need to do on the car. It will do drive-by-wire in the future, so I'd like to do that at some point. It's nice to have that capability. It'll also run manifold pressure, so we don't have to have a MAF sensor. It does everything we need to do. The problem I had with it was it doesn't have a digital dash. It's just an ECU, so we'd have to do some other digital dash separately. But I found a company out of the States called Tinker Electronics that does their own standalone dash units. CAN bus connected to your ECU. They have full support for the Max ECU system. They're reasonably inexpensive, and they'll fit right where we need them to fit. They got like 3 sizes, so we can kind of customize the size, and they're a little bit more open source, so you can play with them a little bit more. So I think that's going to be the plan. I need to do some a little bit more research and probably a little bit of groveling to get the money, and then we're going to go with the Max ECU and the Tinker dash. So that'll take care of the engine side of things. Obviously we can't do that right now. So today, first thing I want to do, first thing I want to do is I want to reassemble the front of the car. We have the coolant, the intercooler, and the radiator out right now to do the suspension. I want to put all that back together again because our next step is going to be paneling. So we're going to redo the hood. That hood way over there doesn't work very well. So I have a plan to build a better hood, but to do that, I need to know all of my clearances around my parts, like my intercooler and the piping and everything like that. We're gonna build a framework and then actually build the hood with some internal structure. So we'll put the front end together, and then we've also been working a lot on the aluminum panels. So we got like our engine sides and this one done, but we haven't done this panel here yet because we have to curve it over top of this bar. That bar is the one that you're going to step over every time. So it's a round bar. All the chassis is square tubing, but that one tube is 1 inch round. And I want my panel to actually curve over top of that. So I knew that was gonna be a bit of a tough panel to build, so I left it till last. But that's the plan for today. We'll put the engine back together again, and then we'll get rolling on that panel. I grabbed the oxygen tank and the blowtorch so we can heat up the aluminum, get it to bend a little bit easier over top of that panel, or that tube, and we'll see how it works. So let's put the engine back together again and get after it. All right, we got all of our piping put back on, and you can see we're gonna have some pretty major clearance issues right along the edge, so we're not gonna be able to put a whole lot of structure coming right down to the bottom. We should be able to get a little bit here and there, but it is gonna get really, really tight, but that's That's everything on this car. So that's all put together. The next step for this is going to be carving a bunch of wood, but that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. So let's work with aluminum instead and do that panel. So I got some cardboard boxes. Let's do a template, grab a sheet of aluminum and get after it. All right, we got our piece clamped onto the car. I actually came out and did a test bend here the other day on just a scrap piece. To do that, I used this torch. So this is just a, it's just one of those torches that you get on one of these propane bottles, and then it's hooked up to a converter hose. Guys use these hoses all the time for their camping barbecue, so they can run a 20-pound bottle on their barbecue. It works pretty good for what I do, because then I don't have to keep buying those little bottles, which is just a huge waste. Problem is, these little torches from Canadian Tire, they don't throw out a lot of heat. So what was happening when I did this bend is I wasn't able to heat locally, because aluminum, the heat travels so fast. So as I was heating up where I wanted to bend, the rest of the material just got way too hot. So I didn't want to do that again. So I actually went and hooked up my proper propane oxygen torch. So this should allow us to put heat into our bend area quicker, so that we don't, so we're able to bend that area without getting the whole sheet really hot. Fingers crossed, at least. We're gonna try. So we got the sheet hooked up. One of the problems that we're gonna run into is there's no good way to clamp the bottom of the sheet. Because we have the floor pan on already, I can't hook a clamp around that bottom section. So I might try to figure something else out. I did throw a ratchet strap underneath the car. I thought maybe I'd be able to hook that on there. That didn't work. I might have to figure something else out. We also are gonna have to get rid of the plastic clamps because they're just gonna burn. And yeah, we're just gonna give this a shot. We'll mark out where the bend is using Sharpie, and then heat it up until the Sharpie disappears, and then you know you're hot enough to start bending aluminum. So, let's just cross our fingers and see what happens. All right, that looks pretty awesome actually. Discovered that the best aluminum forming tool out there was a block of wood. Just smashing with a block of wood made it work really good. I also rigged up this little stick that I could put counter pressure on it with. That's just ratchet strapped to the other side of the car at the bottom. But yeah, that worked pretty good. So we're all done the driver's side. Obviously we gotta punch some holes and rivet it on and whatnot, but I'm trying to keep everything removable right now so that we can continue to work on other parts of the car. I still have to do the passenger side. Obviously, it'll just be the same process over again, so I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. But we got that panel on. That looks awesome. I'm so happy with the way that turned out. And now we won't catch our pants every time we get in and out of the car. So that's all we're gonna do this week, you guys. Next episode, I have no idea what we'll do. Maybe we'll get started on that hood structure. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll see you guys next episode. I'm out of here.